Fly it upside down, do 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 do.
It's upside down, do 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 do.
Hey guys!
It's a shark.
It's Boobysoft.
It's F-goal.
It's for goal.
It's not loading, is what it is.
Why?
I don't know.
Why
Because
is
it's
it not
very
the
sad.
loading?
Why aren't you loading?
I wonder if the Wi-Fi actually is
Did I lose? It says I still have the Wi-Fi.
No, but I'm like, that doesn't mean that my signal's actually any good, you know?
Oh no. I'm gonna have to start this whole thing over again. Alright. Let's try again!
Woo!
Ta-da! Look at those weird sharks.
I don't...
It's like Yertle
Why?
the turtle with sharks.
That would
And
be
everything's
fine.
pink. It's a lot of pink.
We've clearly not been here for a while. Anyway, welcome to Lies and Scandal, and actually this is going to be our grind and... Yeah, well, thank you. You'll give us 15 BEMs.
To get us back in the action, we haven't actually been here in a little while. So this is going to be a grinding cast. For those of you that haven't been to our channel before, that's like a podcast where we're grinding stats, score, items, whatever the hell we need
But
to.
the whole point is to basically have interesting background.
No, it's a shark made of sharks is what it is.
That's what they're showing off.
It's
Is
a
their
shark
shark
of
made of
sharks.
sharks?
That's adorable.
It's a triple X.
What it is, a grinding cast,
Oh
is
no.
a fun visual background or backdrop to a very ordinary podcast. No, we must say it's extraordinary. Extraordinary podcast. No,
It's
ordinary.
fine.
Ordinary.
Ordinary.
Podcast. So what we're going to be talking about
Is Shazam.
Shazam, the movie Shazam.
So we just saw that about, what, 3 hours ago? 3 or 4 hours ago at this point?
Yeah, just a couple of hours ago. My name's Liz.
And I am Scandal.
And what we're going to do is kind of a review.
And we're going to try to make it small because we've had a hard time not renting off.
Most of our videos tend to be an hour and a half long, and we're really trying to tone it down. Like, we're trying so hard. So, about Shazam, let's have you start.
Let's talk about Shazam. So, quick summary of Shazam. Kid is a foster kid running away from the system, gets magical powers because Wizard is trying to find someone to give his powers to who's pure of heart, has never been able to find anyone, slams them basically on this kid out of pure desperation.
Well,
I would say
basically.
Because he doesn't have the test anymore.
Because historically, he was trying to find someone that was genuinely pure of heart through a sort of a test of
Resisting these 7 deadly sins.
Right.
So this will be vaguely spoilers, by the way, we should say. Spoilers for the movie if you haven't seen the movie.
spoilers. All right, anyway, so the wizard's trying to find someone to replace him because he's getting old and dying, and he's protecting the world from the 7 deadly sins.
Yep.
He needs someone to take on his power and protect the world from the 7 deadly sins. And all the people he keeps testing all keep failing.
And, of course, one of your main villain, Dr. Savannah,
Is one of the failures.
Yes.
Who went for the power of the sins, and the wizard denied him and sent him back to the real
also,
world.
as they bring out as a good point, is that who the heck is actually pure of heart anyway?
And what is pure of heart, in fact,
Though I
actually?
feel like they could have gone more into it. But anyway, so basically end up picking this kid who, you know, is basically disenfranchised with his life and keeps trying to find his mother, and he's been in the foster system and keeps running away, and he keeps running away because he's trying to find his mother.
Like, the whole
right?
thing is with this kid, his whole life goal is find his mother. He's even done his own investigative work to try and locate where his mother
I am
could possibly
surprised
be.
he's not in juvie, honestly, because he's actually, like, he's shown in the very beginning, actually, basically committing espionage in front of a cop.
In a cop car.
He false reporting, because he calls them falsely to a scene in order to set them up, so he can actually get into the car, look for people who have his name. His name is Batson. The only name he has is Batson, so I thought actually that was kind of clever, is the fact that he doesn't actually know what his mother's name is. Like, for me personally, I thought that was great.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is he gets separated from his mother as a 3-year-old boy, and he doesn't actually know what her first name is. So he's going to every woman in the appropriate age range with the last name Batson and going, "Are you my mom? Are you my mom? Are you my mother?" He keeps failing.
Horribly.
And it's pretty sad.
And they say at one point he's run away like 23 times.
I think it's 18 times. It's not
No,
quite
like
that
later
bad.
on she's on the phone, like his new step. Anyway, so summary of the movie. We're tangenting off. So basically, summary of the movie, he gets these powers found on him. And he's, you know, of course, acts like any 14-year-old kid does, which actually we thought was fairly accurate. We were giggling a lot. Where he
decides
and his foster bro in this new family sort of kind of basically enable each other vaguely. The one kid basically is super excited because he is differently abled. He actually seems to have some sort of cerebral palsy.
He has a permanent limp of some kind.
Yeah, he has something.
They don't really go into it at all.
I apologize. I wouldn't say necessarily cerebral. I just I don't. I probably shouldn't guess. I apologize. It's
a permanent limp of some kind on one of his legs. He uses a crutch.
Yep.
That is as far as I would go to guess what limits him.
But he is, as he says, he's a disabled kid.
He calls himself disabled. He calls himself a cripple, actually.
Yeah, he does. But they go out. They basically enable each other. They have fun is mostly what they do.
And they also start
they basically
a YouTube channel.
Post the fuck out of, his powers. They cannot decide what his name is because if anybody actually knows anything about Shazam, and I actually got to educate Lies about this, Shazam actually is originally the original Captain Marvel. But they lost the name. DC lost the name basically to Marvel because they couldn't figure out what to do with the character. There was a bunch of shit going on. And Marvel picked up the character name and then used it.
And
then suddenly now you have, of course, Carol Danvers, who is now Captain Marvel. So they can't have two Captain Marvels. One is DC and one is, Marvel. So they basically avoid naming him, and that's kind of a gag throughout the entire thing. Except they kind of say that his name is basically Shazam. They're kind of like, well, I guess it's Shazam now, except he can't ever say Shazam because... So when he gets these powers, it sets off his transformation process to the Shazam! And I am Shazam, and I am, cool, powerful, and whatever else, except it's a child's interpretation of what a cool, powerful, super-powered adult is.
Or would do, rather, because he doesn't get to create his own powers in any way or decide what he looks like at all.
Nope.
So it's not, in that way, it's just a behavioral interpretation of what an adult would do or be. But also, in that way, he doesn't really create... I thought he was going to create essentially some kind of critique of what he thinks adults are, except for what he does is he sort of explores what adults might be capable of, I'm going to need to buy beer or try to buy beer. I'm going to try to hit on women or look cool
or
to
basically
them.
he had this huge problem going, I don't know how to actually interact with older women because to be in that age, if anybody is that age or has been that age, I think there is some basically ageism that goes on going, but you're not.
So he's 14.
My age. He really is.
And he's literally 14, turns into about, maybe a 30-year-old looking man.
25, to 30-plus-year-old looking dude.
And he proceeds to then...
I have these women who vaguely be like, excuse me.
And he's sort of go, at one point he tries to stop a mugging, and he goes,
hello, old lady.
Hey, old lady, don't hurt the old lady. She's like, old lady, what? And he's like,
I'm your age.
Normal aged lady.
And he tries, he fails at it.
Basic experience was I really liked the movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I didn't expect to like it going in. I expected to...
Lies was so not sure about it. Like, we were sitting there eating sushi, and Lies is just like, okay, I mean, we could do this. And I'm like, no, we could see it. I'm like, because I was kind of excited, because I'd heard really fun reviews. I don't know if anybody actually watches movie Bob, but I actually got kind of interested in watching it from him talking about the movie.
Because he made some thoughtful critiques, which I don't know that I connected to completely, but it got me in the door because Scandal wanted to see it. And I just asked that. I was like, Scandal's like, hey, we can see this, impulsively. We finished grocery shopping, we could see this thing. And I went, do you want to see this thing?
And I'm like, I kind of want to see this, but I also was willing to go, if you really don't want to, that's okay. But honestly, I think we both fairly enjoyed the movie. We cackled a lot through it. A lot of it felt where we thought, honestly, was fairly realistic. I had a couple of moments where I got weirdly, I guess it was kind of weird to me, but I also had, at least in the end, I didn't end bored, but I came with a sensation of going, I couldn't watch this movie again, not immediately.
So
it's very simple. It really, honestly, is very simple.
Very simple. So my primary concerns going in was that there was going to be a lot of stupid humor, and also that he didn't seem like the same...
I think you're afraid of a Captain Underpants situation.
Maybe, but also that he didn't seem like the same kid. So in the trailer, it really only showed him to be a little bit tragic, our main character, a little bit tragic, and basically also, how can I put it, cool at times. Right. He was tragic, and he was a little bit, edgy cool when he, beats up some bullies, that kind of thing, right? And they did actually have some themes of bullying in there, which was kind of neat. Fortunately, they actually put a lot of them off screen. Unfortunately, that was one of the main themes of the movie, is there is actually quite a bit of bullying experience in there, and I felt like
But it's also very mild.
the adults fell short in that case.
Okay, so I think that was actually one of our biggest problems that we complained about during the movie, was going, where are the adults?
So there's a couple of cool adult characters, and honestly, his adult foster representative,
they're freaking awesome.
is super cool.
I
And
liked them.
The foster parents is who you're referring to.
No, I know, but they basically become his parents. So spoilers, but
foster representative being the one who placed him in that home.
Oh, right. She was nice too.
But also, she was extremely understanding. Going, you've run away from home after home after home. You have done all of these things. This is your last shot.
She's like, someone needs to tell him straight, and she did. She's like, look, I don't want you going, because she is connecting to him, basically trying to find his mom, right? So again, we're gonna be doing spoilers, guys. So this whole damn thing is spoilers. But she tells him, going, yo, I understand that you're trying to find your mom, but you should stop. You're basically wasting your time. She should have found you. Bullshit, she wouldn't have been able to find you.
Yeah, your mom didn't want you. So his mom lost him in a carnival situation, and there was actually a police officer there that found him, and he was basically in the child lost and found at this carnival situation.
Right.
Like, very, very easy to find your child. He went to the right place, the people did the right thing, and
I felt so bad for his mom.
Yeah. So anyway, when he finds her later, which he eventually does.
He does.
There is this moment where he's like, Mom, I found you. You know, I got lost. I didn't mean to run away from you at the carnival. And she's like, look, I had you when I was 17. And your dad abandoned me, and I was alone with you as a single mother. I didn't know what to do.
She's like, my father basically kicked me out.
She had no support. And when she saw him with the police officers, when she went to find him and she saw him with the officers, she's like, they will be able to take way better care of him than I ever will. But what's really sad about his mom was that she was in another abusive relationship. It was your very classic, open the door and you have an aggressive male voice from behind going, what are you doing? I'm going to police your actions. I'm going to judge everything you say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was sad. I honestly just kept going, oh God.
And he had a moment where he actually, it sounded ironic, but I think he meant it honestly, where he's like, I'm going to go back to my family now. Yeah. And there is strong themes of like finding a family and creating family where there is no family kind of thing, which is kind of neat. And there is different struggles with different kids having this experience of I'm a foster kid.
As someone, okay, so this is me. And I understand I've never gone through this, and so this might be insensitive, but I want to say, for me as someone who's consumed a fair amount of media, in books, in movies, in entertainment, etc., I've always been super damn frustrated as the way we treat kids who are either like orphans or foster kids or they were given up or whatever else, of going, you have to have your parents. Your blood biological parents.
With finding your own
and also going
real
that
parents.
You have to have kids at all, one, and then also going, but if you don't like them, there's something fucking inherently wrong with you, when basically it feels socially like you're shoved into needing to have these kids or you're not an okay person.
So that was a few different points there.
I know, but because I feel like it goes over a bunch of it. It's not just, you can't just, have one thing. It feels like a package deal. Yeah. Like, to me, it's like you really can't just go, well, it's about this one thing. No, it's also about this. It's also about this. It's also about this. I liked, honestly, that he went, it's okay that I don't have you, I'm just going to walk away. And that is such a relief, because the thing is what I thought was fun about this movie is that it was really light. It's not deep, and that was kind of nice, because there wasn't, as we were giggling about, it's not a lot of German children, which is a German, I was making angst. There's not a lot of angst running around, right? There's not a lot of that teenage angst, let's talk about, oh, this is what every kid wants, and every kid dreams of constantly. He realizes fairly quickly, and also, like, it's not like it doesn't hurt him, but it's also one of those things of recognizing, going, the image I have of you in my head and this thing that I've built up over this time is not reality.
So one, the movie isn't actually greatly focused on, in any kind of angsty, moody kind of way, the foster kids experience.
No, not at all.
It is a comedy movie. It is fairly lighthearted. There is an experience of going, we all are having our own, we're all trying to find our place and find out who we are. And there is this construction of family and trying to feel and feeling lost as a child or out of place. But at the same time, it really focuses on basically, ultimately, what is family? You make your own family, and that you don't have to have basically the family you started with. And that he doesn't ultimately end up feeling like he's lost anything great by going, I found my mom. It turns out my mom gave me up willingly. that doesn't make me or her any less valuable or okay.
And she's still got a hard time.
And
Like she
he
says,
honestly-
I'm not in a good place. She can't even approach him, really. She is a disaster. She's got her own issues. She looks like she's never basically gotten over her problems.
At
like,
all. She's
and
never
I
done any
felt-
better. And she even looks at him and goes, but you did okay. You landed on your feet.
Which I'm also like, that's really sad, though, too, because she's like, well, you know, but...
At least you are okay. One of us is okay.
But the thing is also, he's not really okay either. He's only okay because actually, as he says, I'm going to go find my family. Because the way... So the message then it ends with, basically, at the end is going, what is the use of power if you can't share it with your family? Or share it with someone.
If you can't share it with someone, and what good is power if you can't protect your family, basically.
Right, which they were like, that's a good catchphrase. So there was this running joke about basically he can't come with the catchphrase. Honestly, it was an enjoyable movie. I still think, and I think you and I both are kind of on this page of going, yeah, it's not really rewatchable.
It's a watch it once kind of feel good, friendly movie. I think kids would like it a lot more. It is more, as Captain Marvel always was, or as always Shazam always was, directed more towards a child audience.
Because the original Captain Marvel, well, I mean, he was a kid who could turn into an adult and fight like an adult and be an adult, except that he was also a kid.
Yeah, he
was more popular than Superman, he was more popular than Batman, he was the popular McPopular dude. Like, that is who he was, and it froze.
It froze. Hold on.
They all get to eat? Who knows?
All right. So basically, they did a really good job following that theme of this is for kids. Not that kids don't deserve deep or meaningful content. It's not that it wasn't deep or meaningful content. More of that it was lighthearted and fun, and in the end it didn't have any like deeper, more thoughtful moral ramifications other than your family is the family you make and choose. And
the villain was very thoughtful.
The thing that you are seeking isn't necessarily the thing that will solve all your problems.
Yeah.
Like, he actually had a moment of a connection with the villain, which they didn't follow up. But honestly, they could later if they wanted to, because it sets up for a sequel.
It does. It sets up for a hilarious sequel that I about died laughing about, because I had only just... So, I don't know much... Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I know, I want to talk.
And it's fine. It just... So... When he has a moment with the villain where, you know, it's in that sort of climactic piece of, you know, just sort of bringing everything to a head that's gone on so far. There's this experience of him going, I understand what you're after. The villain is this person that has been invalidated by their family their entire life. Their older brother is more important than them. Their father thinks they're a nuisance and a burden. They are just this outcast in their own life, right? And then they get, you know, basically interviewed by the wizard Shazam, and then they come up short once again. So their entire life they've been measured as coming up short in every single category, which is why he's so angry at Shazam to some degree, going, what makes you so much better than me that you get to be this
and
thing?
Shazam, the superhero, not the wizard.
Sorry,
in this case, because it's
our protagonist. He gets angry at our protagonist, going, how come you get to receive the power and I got turned down, and my whole life was made harder for it, which it was already
What
hard.
makes you any better? You're a coward. You ran from me.
And in that moment, the kid who has been tossed around from home to home, who's run away, who's been trying to find his mom his entire life and trying to just figure out who he is and why what happened did happen, goes, you know what? I feel you. I feel you where you think one thing is going to be the answer to your whole life, to your whole, you know, issues, that you think that seeking the power you have now and that seeking the power that I have could solve all of your problems. And you know what? It didn't solve all of mine. It actually made a lot of mine worse, because becoming Shazam ultimately complicated our protagonist's life when he tried to figure out what the ramifications of all his actions are. If you just screw around with superpowers, you can cause way more problems than you're likely to fix.
His new foster brother Freddy actually goes, you did this. Like, so there's an incident where he saves a bus, right?
Which bothers me because the window should have broken. But go on.
Oh yeah, he saves a bus. But the thing is literally the reason it happens is because he's showing off with his lightning powers that he has and sets off a lightning bolt actually over a highway that zaps a bus, and it blows out a tire and creates the whole situation. He causes it. Well, I saved the bus though. I caught it. But you did it. No, but I caught it. That's not the point.
You put everyone in danger and then you went and saved them.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, but you put everyone in danger first by being reckless. Now, he wasn't trying to, like, put people in danger so he could save them.
Nope.
But he was being completely reckless with his powers and put people in danger because of it. And he had to learn to basically grow up and be mature. Anyway, the movie was fun. I liked it. A lot of the places where they could have made it very embarrassing or dark, they did it off screen. So a lot of the bullying is off screen and talked about later. And a lot of what would be like shame humor isn't done, which I like a lot.
I hate secondhand embarrassment.
Embarrassment
is the worst.
is not good humor. And they
also,
take
his
that,
siblings were great. Holy crap. I really liked his siblings, actually. They were very diverse and very
awesome.
I loved his foster parents.
His end foster parents were amazing.
They were
so hard.
Fabulous.
They were also a very charming couple. Wow, they were a charming couple.
They had great chemistry. I was like, you guys are so cute.
They are adorable. I ship them.
Instantly, I was like, you guys are great. Also, okay, so I just want to gush really fast. I'm still giggling. So there's a little girl, her name is Darla, and eventually, so at the end, he basically shares his power with his family members, right?
Not
Spoiler.
basically. He literally turns all of his siblings into the same kind of super he is.
Yep, they all become basically a Shazam.
Yep.
But so his little sister Darla, his foster sister Darla, she saves this girl at this carnival because they go back to a carnival. So they have a sort of reconnecting moment of, you were lost at the carnival, but now you found your family at the carnival.
Yeah, so he loses his family at the first carnival, and at the end it comes full circle, and he finds his new family.
Yep. So symbolism. It's so deep. But Darla goes and she saves a girl off a merry-go-round, and we both went, that girl is instantly gay.
Because the girl just stares at this adult Darla and goes, oh my god. And like,
she just like this look on her face.
Starstruck look. This
we were both like, I know she is gay.
And
it was super
ta-da.
cute. Ta-da!
And the person who's rescued her is literally like a 7-8-year-old kid.
Yeah, she was really cute.
But she looks like an adult because that's what happens.
So I guess if she's in middles, I thought that would probably be right in middle school.
I thought that was in all school.
Was it in all school? So I
anyway,
don't know.
She could have been 10.
I don't know. Anyway, it was really cute. What was a moment you liked that was really fun?
It was very fun. Okay, so it was very fun to watch his entire family of siblings. Various awkward challenges on each of them. He has one, of course, that we've mentioned, has a permanently disabled leg and walks with a crutch. And then we have, one who's, an adorable small black child. She is the sweetest thing ever.
Darla's great, yep.
Darla's great. And then he's got an Asian sibling who is this young nerd who's very cute. Not as tropey as could be, but not as not tropey as could be either. He's mostly into video games rather than being a super genius. He even calls himself out that way, going, not really actually this thing, but I did some research anyway, which is how he ultimately found his mom.
Right.
But
so they
then
he's
also got this quiet, awkward, bigger kid that all of them transform into adult sort of versions of themselves, which it's left open to interpretation whether or not that's actually what they would look like as an adult and just kind of poofed on them, or whether it's a persona. I think it's supposed to be what they would look like grown up, and ultimately...
I think he said it's the idealized version of you, right? I think Dr.
I don't remember. But ultimately, like... they would not be transforming into and out of a full different body. They'd just be transforming into and out of a costume. Anyway, so all of them going, oh my gosh, look at me and myself. And it was really fun to just see all of them very empowered in that moment and being like, I am this thing. And they go from these sort of quiet, awkward, or sort of socially, basically... socially challenged, kids who have come from, they're just, challenging, like from awkward
and their school
backgrounds.
sucks too.
It kind of does.
Well, and again, that presence of no adults, it's weird. The biggest adults that they really have in there is the security guy, Mr. Moran, or Moron.
Poor Mr. Moran.
I felt bad for him. Like, yeah, I did it. Anyway, so basically, it felt fairly relatable.
My favorite part, I think, was that piece. However, I also felt like while the villain was basically evil for the sake of evil, like, it was great. He gets rejected as being pure of heart, like, you're not pure of heart, right? And he just kind of accepts that after a while.
That was nice.
He tries to go back and go,
which is weird.
Why couldn't you choose me, basically? Why wasn't I good enough for you? And then he's like, you know what? I don't need to be good enough for you. I'll be good enough for the 7 sins demons,
Right.
Like, and he takes on, the dark power instead of the good power.
Right.
But then he's at peace with this. He's fine with this. He's like, I'm not pure of heart, and I'll do something else.
But also, I liked that question too, but, like, who is.
What even is pure of heart?
I wish they'd gotten kind of more into that, but I feel like that again would have like kind of muddied the waters of where they were just trying to more have fun.
Yeah,
So
I feel like pure of heart in this case was just not selfish when it comes down to things.
Mhm.
When it comes down to, are you gonna, if somebody's in danger or if someone needs help, are you going to make a selfish decision or a selfless decision? I felt like that's what pure of heart came down to in here.
Which was also interesting anyway, because we also both were staring at it going, okay, so he gives his powers to his siblings. We actually both went,
Shares.
Yeah, he shares. But like shares the power also of the other. So there's the one wizard, but the wizard talks about the fact that there were other brothers and sisters basically in this bond of, you know, people who protect the world's magic kind of thing. And I immediately went, ah, yes, and Doctor Strange would be furious. But
which I didn't know anything about, but that's
fine.
All
I haven't
we're
seen
almost there. Wrap it up.
All right, fine. But so I was going to, the parents should have gotten the powers as well.
So when I counted up, I was like, there's 7 deadly sins. The bad guy's got 7 demons inside of him, one representing each of the sins. And there was an interesting play on that. Honestly, they used that interestingly. And then there was 7 people in the family without our protagonist. They had 5 other foster kids and the 2 parents. And I was like, if they go the direction of he gets 1 deadly sin to possess each of the, his family members kind of thing, or if he uses all of his family to populate the other members of the original protectorate of the 7 virtues versus the 7 sins,
right?
That would be fascinating.
But they didn't do it, which is fine, but it left an open seat, basically, because with him and then his siblings, there's only 6. And there are 7 chairs.
Yep.
So we were kind of like, so who's in the last seat?
Yeah, who would get number 7?
Who's number 7?
Who's number 7?
Anyway, so I really liked it. I don't think it's rewatchable.
I would say,
unfortunately, at least not for a while. It's one of those that is enjoyable, but it's just not.
There's not a lot more to it.
It's not a lot of depth.
Yeah.
Which isn't bad, but
at
it's
least
also
from my own experience.
Yeah.
And I think they found that good balance of things, like with Spy Kids, where it can appeal both to adults and to children.
Mm-hmm.
But unlike Spy Kids, there wasn't as much sort of fun, off-the-wall relatability. It was like the characters were very true to themselves, but it didn't make you really want to dig into who they are or see their sort of shenanigans again so much. One time was enough. And that was kind of what I got from it.
That was kind of disappointing, though, because again, I was like, oh, and now the siblings will have the powers, and I just kind of didn't care.
And then after
I felt like I kind of had almost a reaction to it like I had with Superman. Superman's interesting to a point, but what made him more interesting is basically the challenges that he had to overcome, but he could always in the end overcome them anyway. There's no real threat.
Okay, yeah, with Shazam, there's no real threat. There was very little gravitas until his siblings were in danger, and then they went very kids movie of, and your siblings are suddenly out of danger and everything's fine.
Which, it didn't bother me, though. But it was also like the stakes really don't
feel that big.
Stakey. But I mentioned too, I was like, it's kind of actually nice to have a superhero movie that was more focused in a small area rather than, and now the world.
The biggest scope. It really was focused small. It was kind of neat when
it didn't feel though like it was lacking the rest of the world. The rest of the world still felt there, but it also, so it wasn't burdened by it kind of thing. Because you ever watched a movie where it has a small scope and you feel like then the rest of the world doesn't exist?
I was having that problem actually with what was I just having that problem with? I don't know. With Megalobox, I was having that problem.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like there's no other world here, but that's another conversation.
We are not going to talk about Megalobox because I'm frustrated about that anime. Anyway,
so I would recommend that if you liked, like, Spy Kids, and if you liked that kind of sort of lighter humor, but also if you like superhero movies, but movies with, like, a juvenile underdog protagonist, and strong themes of family and self-discovery.
That was great.
Found family, self-discovery, and, just sort of knowing who you are and what you're about, you might really like this movie. There are also a lot of fun shenanigans, and in any place where the characters did something stupid, it felt very genuine to the characters themselves. Like, people felt very like themselves.
It wasn't the whole, you're a
character.
Like, you're just blatantly making a dumb decision. It is blatantly going, you're making a decision that's dumb because you're limited in that way.
Because that is who you are.
Billy is an idiot in some case. Like, I really was kind of frustrated with him, but I wasn't like, oh my god, this feels out of character stupid.
No, exactly. It felt in character. The shenanigans or even the dumb pieces, they didn't feel like awkward, painful writing so much as what they felt like was, this is genuinely a character choice that this character would make.
This kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. That was a little bit rushed. We are trying to
Cut it down.
learning as YouTubers to be a little bit less wordy and a little more organized. Please check out our Let's Plays as well. We do a lot of voice acting. We do a lot of humor. Oh my gosh, the one we did recently was, some of them are very, very funny. Anyway, I'm Lice.
And I am Scandal.
And take care of yourselves out there.
Enjoy.
Bye.